A warm and welcoming smile is presented to the adventurers when they arrive in the Fox's dens of armor and weapons. She introduces herself as Amelia Stratus, and she's here to help them get what they're looking for. Something on display piques their interest? She'll inform them about it. Something on the wall that catches their eyes? No worries, she'll float up and bring it down. Looking for something custom? She'll jot down the specifics and get it to the Forge team. Hi there, and welcome back. My name is Navang, and welcome to my channel. In this video, I'll be designing and drawing the person who tends to the front desk. Her name? Amelia Stratus. A few things I wanted to let you know before I get into my thought process. I decided to slot this shop into a sort of D&D setting, so most of my design choices are going to be falling into that lore and design space. For the entire first floor workforce, I decided that each individual would have some sort of element tied to them. In D&D terms, they would be considered Ganassi or elemental folk. If her name hasn't clued you in yet, Amelia Stratus will have some air themes in her design. When customers come through the front doors, Amelia will be the first person they see. I wanted to try to get across that she's approachable, jovial, and friendly. She's there to help the customer get the items they need. Her attire is more grounded or common, simple clothes that are layered on top of each other. A big design choice I wanted to include is the loose clothing that would allow some wind to move around her, giving her design some movement. Another design choice I wanted to keep in all the designs is her floating with no shoes. The floor is dirty, so why not just float? If she's floating, what's the point of shoes? With those initial design goals, I begin my ideation sketches, trying to capture those themes with different body types and poses. A few poses that truly emphasized the floating had Amelia sitting in the air or leaned over. If you can float, why not float whatever feels the most comfortable to you? A few of the more attentive floating poses started to look like ballet poses. That began to introduce the idea of ballet being a part of Amelia's persona as well. She could dance around in the air and get from one space to another. I included a friendly wave in most of the iteration poses. A friendly wave in your direction is often inviting. A stranger waved in our general direction. We take a moment to turn behind ourselves to make sure they were waving at us and not at someone else. Confirmation goes in two directions. They were waving to us or they aren't. Either way, we aren't embarrassed at ourselves if our guess was incorrect. I know I've done this before. After taking a moment to review the sketches, I picked 3 that I wanted to clean up and push a bit further with clean lines and color. In this first design, the initial sketch was of a larger set woman. While in the initial sketching phase of this iteration, the idea of large cloud columns came to me. Inspiration can come from all sorts of places. The visual puffiness and roundness of clouds guiding the design direction, as you can see with the puffiness of her sleeves. I didn't want to push too far with this idea though. An urge I had was adding all sorts of puffy frills to the edges of her clothing. If you can recall, I wanted Amelia to be approachable and grounded. Her lifestyle isn't too lavish. Her day-to-day work clothes should match that idea. No fur-lined clothing for Amelia while she's working at the front desk. For the color choices, grounded and familiar is what I wanted to go with. The earthy tones assist in getting that feeling across. In the second design, I initially had the pose facing forward. The slight downside of a forward-facing character is that it loses some of its volume in 3-dimensionality. Additionally, having 2 forward-facing characters might be a bit boring artistically. I shifted her to a 3/4 pose and tilted her away. When I did this, I realized I just created one of the other initial sketch poses, so maybe I should have used that one instead. A difficult thing about this pose was definitely the hands clasping together at the center of her chest. Additionally, I wanted to push more into the fantasy aspects of D&D, so I added elf ears to this version of the character. As I was designing the accessories, the idea of wind chimes as earrings came to me. While she moves, the tiny bit of magical wind flowing around her causes the chimes to jingle softly. Speaking of magical wind, the scarf and her long flowing hair is there to help the idea of the blowing wind. I decided to keep her clothing choice simple and down to earth again for this design as well. I introduced some sky blue into this design to keep the relationship to the air a bit stronger. In this third design, I wanted to move Amelia into more of a long or tall design, but keep some of the more fantastical elements. I kept the long flowing hair to keep the idea of the wind blowing through it to give it some movement. Her clothes are a bit more drapey to align with the movement idea as well. Her earrings this time are a bit closer to paper to move in the light breeze that surrounds her. Also, I wanted to move away from the earthy tones and introduce some more green. Green for some reason has been associated with air or wind in video games. With the addition of the greens, the blue seems to push her into more of an ocean-based design. A design choice I decided to add to all three was some sort of clothing piece that had that fox red color. The piece of clothing material type could be anything, but the fox red color is important. It ties them to the store like a store uniform. This color will probably be added across all employees to tie them all together. As all three come to a finished design, which design do you like? Is there anything you can think that could be added to these designs? Let me know in the comments below. I myself like all three, and the designs could change by the end of the project. Ideas and concept between the three can continue to mesh and meld to get a better executed design. The earrings being chimes or paper moving in the wind is a neat idea to add to all the designs. One of the hard things I had with these three designs besides the hands and feet is keeping the design a bit more simple. There was a strong desire to add more belts and bags, but that would imply she moves from one destination to another, like an adventurer. She helps run one shop, so most of her belongings would be in a dwelling nearby in the city. As the video comes to a close, here's a final look for all three designs next to each other. If you've made it this far, thanks for watching the video. I hope you watch the next one.